We already have learned about inheritance in Java. We know that a derived class can inherit properties from the base class. But what will happen if the derived class or the base class or both the classes are generic types? Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 21 of Java and Wave, Generics in Java. In this video, we will learn about generic class hierarchy. Here we have three Java files, base.java, drive.java and use.java. In the base.java, we have the class base, which is a generic class. This generic class is having a type parameter as t. In the class base, we are defining a new reference variable of type t. Then, in the parameterized constructor of the class base, we are initializing the reference variable ob. In the method getOb, we are returning ob. That means the method getOb returns a reference of type t. Of course, the t will be decided, the data type t will be decided by the user of the class base. But interesting point here is we have a Java file drive.java which contains the class drive. The class drive extends the class base. So it is possible that you create an object of type drive instead of the class base. But while creating an object of type drive, you should take care of the type parameter of the class base. So while inheriting the class drive, we should take care of the type parameter which should be passed to the class base. So here we are defining the type parameter t for the class drive, and the same type parameter t has been used with the class base. What the class drive is doing in its parameterized constructor is the class drive is just calling the superclass constructor, means the base class constructor. So this type parameter is only used to call the base class constructor. Otherwise, the class drive is not using the type t anywhere in this code. This type parameter after the name of the derived class is for the class derived, while this type parameter after the name of the base class is for the class base. After that, in use.java, we have the class use. In the class use, we have the method main. In the method main, we are creating a new object of type derived with integer as its type argument. Since we are creating a new object of type derived with integer as its type argument, so t, the type parameter t in the class derived becomes an integer, and the reference variable o becomes a reference variable of type integer. Then we call the constructor of the class base by using the reference variable o. Because of this statement, the t in the class derived and t in the class base both becomes integer for the compiler. So the getOb method will be inherited in the class derived, and when we call the getOb method by using the reference variable of type derived, it will return the value passed as a parameterized constructor, that is 100. In this case, the class derived has made itself a generic class, but this is not compulsory for the class derived to make itself a generic class to handle the base class. Sometimes the class derived, being a non-generic class, can handle a generic base class. Here the class derived is a non-generic class and the class base is a generic class. So the class derived here is not making itself a generic class, but the class derived is explicitly saying that the type parameter t in the class base will be a string if you are accessing the class base by using a reference variable of type derived. So while creating a new object of type derived, actually we do not need any type argument here. Because if you are accessing any properties of the class base by using the reference variable of type derived, then the type parameter in the class base will be of type string. So here in this case, hello will be stored into the reference variable o, and by using the reference variable o, the superclass constructor, that means the base class constructor, will be called. Since you are accessing the superclass constructor through the reference variable of class derived, therefore the type parameter t of the class base will be string. One parameter the class derived is using is just to support the base class, although the class derived can use its own type parameter if needed. So here we are defining a unique type parameter for the class derived, that is the type parameter b, and the type parameter t is used to support the base class. The class derived can use both parameters. So in the class derived, we are declaring a new variable of type b, then we are calling the constructor of the class derived. The formal argument of type B in the parameterized constructor of derived is used to initialize OB2, but the formal argument of type T in the parameterized constructor derived used to call the constructor of the base class. Then in the class derived, we have the getOB2 method which returns a reference OB2 of type B. The class base is similar to previous one, and of course the getOB method gets inherited to the class derived also. So here in this case we are creating a new object of type derived with string and integer as its type parameters, and we are using the parameterized constructor of the class derived. After that, we are calling the getOb method by using the reference variable num of type derived. Since getOb method has been inherited in the class derived, therefore it will print the string value of, which has been passed through the parameterized constructor of the class derived. After that, we are calling the getOb2 method by using the reference variable num of type derived, which prints 100. So class derived is free to use its own type parameters if needed. Now look at here. Here the class base is a non-generic class, and the class derived, which is a generic class, extends the class base. So there is nothing like generic in the class base. It has an integer variable, and in the constructor of the class base we are initializing the integer variable. Then the getNum method of the class base returns that integer variable. So there is nothing generic for the class base here. But in the class derived we have a generic type parameter t. Now here we are defining a new reference variable OB of type t. After that, we have the constructor of the class derived which accepts two arguments. One is of type t and other one is of type integer. The formal argument of type integer is used to call the constructor of the class base, and the reference variable of type t in the formal argument is used to assign the reference in the instance variable OB. After that, we have a getOb method which returns the type t and which returns the reference variable OB. Now in use.java, again we are creating a new object of type derived with string as its type argument. And we are passing hello in the place of string, since now t is a string for the compiler. So we are passing hello as a string and we are passing 100 as an integer. After that, we are calling the getOb method by using the reference variable w. When we call the getOb method, it will return this OB, that means the string. And when we call the getNum method, then of course the getNum method has been inherited to the class derived and will return this integer type. We know the working of instance of operator. This code is similar to the previous one, just in the method getOb of the class base. We are printing the base getOb and we are returning the reference variable OB. And in the constructor of the class derived, which extends the class base, we are just calling the constructor of the class base. We know that a derived class reference is always an instance of its base class. And of course, the derived class reference will be an instance of itself. So here in the method main of use.java, we are creating three objects. One of type base integer, one of type derived integer, and the third one of type derived string. So we are checking if the di is an instance of derived wildcard. Is it there? Yes, that is true, because wildcard is compared with the maximum bound. That is here is object. So is di an instance of derived with object? That is here an object. So for the JVM, t is an object. So here in this case, the compiler will think that you are trying to find if di is an instance of derived with object as its type argument or not. Then the compiler will allow the JVM to check if di is an instance of derived with object as its argument or not. And that can be happen easily, and the compiler will return true because di is always an instance of derived, we know that, and the compiler will allow it because compiler thinks that you are going to compare your types with object. But look at here. Here we are checking if di is an instance of derived integer or not, because compiler never knows that di belongs to what. Di belongs to derived integer or di belongs to derived string or whatever. Therefore, since here you have especially specified the data type in the type parameter, therefore the compiler will not allow you to execute this instance of operator. But if you use here a wildcard, then the compiler will allow you to check that if a reference variable is an instance of the same type or an instance of its base type or not. Di is an instance of its base class, ds is an instance of derived, ds is an instance of its base class, but base class is not an instance of derived and the base class is an instance of base. But if you specify a type parameter here, you will not able to check if di is an instance of derived integer or not. Compiler will stop you doing that because the compiler does not know that which type argument is specified with di. But the compiler will allow the same with the wildcards. Here in this case, we are typecasting the variables di and ds. You can cast one instance of generic class into another only if two are otherwise compatible and their type arguments are same. So while doing the typecasting, you should follow the rules of the typecasting of non-primitive variables. I already have created a video on typecasting of non-primitive means reference variables. So according to those rules, if the reference variable and the class in which we want to cast, if both are compatible and both having the same type argument, then only you can typecast a reference variable into another class. Look at here ds. ds is of type derived string. Therefore, we cannot cast ds in the derived integer. Here in this case, the class derived is overriding the method getOb from the class base. And look at here, the class derived is actually not a generic class, but it has to be generic because its base is generic. Therefore, the class derived also have to define its type parameter. That's why the class derived can easily override the method getOb based on the type parameter t. So a method in generic class can be overridden just like any other method. So when we call the getOb method by using the reference variable bi, it will call the base getOb. When we call the getOb method by using the reference variable di, it prints does getOb method. And when we call the getOb method by using the reference variable ds, it will again print does getOb method. So hopefully you got all my points. That's all for this video guys. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe my channel on YouTube, like my page on Facebook, and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.